President Bola Ahmed Tinubu can be missed by Nigerians if. Do you agree that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be fondly remembered by Nigerians after his tenure? Do you know that Nigerians can miss something about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's leadership? What are those factors that could make Bola Ahmed Tinubu memorable and make it possible for him to be very much missed by Nigerians after his tenure as Nigerian President? Find out by listening till the end of this video. On Thursday, the 12th day of June 2025, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, presented a very interesting address at the joint session of the National Assembly in commemoration of Democracy Day. Listening to his address is indicative of the fact that our dear President knows the right thing that should be done, and he admonishes and enjoins all other leaders, elected officers, to join him in doing that right thing. Among other things, he ended his address by saying, "Let us rededicate ourselves to the ideals of June 12, freedom, transparent and accountable government, social justice, active citizen participation, and a just society where no one is oppressed." President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be fondly remembered by Nigerians after his tenure if he summons the courage to give us a society where no one is oppressed. The issue of marginalization, the issue of separatist agitations, as well as the issue of insecurity will become a thing of the past. Nigerians will definitely miss President Bola Ahmed Tinubu if he looks into the issue of marginalization of certain regions in this country, and particularly the detention of those who have cried out against this ugly experience and those seeking for rights to self-determination.
We must stay the course, reject cynicism, and believe Nigeria can and will rise again. Our nation is not perfect, but it is strong. Our democracy is not invincible, but it is alive. And this means our dream of a prosperous, happy nation is still within reach and worth fighting for. As elected leaders, we must continue to do more to make real the dream of Nigerian political and economic democracy. We must always value dialogue over dictatorship, persuasion over suppression, and rights over might.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu used the occasion to confer national honors on many Nigerians. In a special way, he conferred posthumous honors on many Nigerians who lost their lives while fighting for democracy. He remembered many civil rights activists, journalists, and politicians who were imprisoned, exiled, tossed aside, tortured, and beaten by the military regime, among so many others. Now, Nigerians will miss President Bola Ahmed Tinubu whenever he leaves office as the President of Nigeria. So if he gives us that democracy for which they were murdered, if he gives us the democracy for which many of them were imprisoned, if he gives us the democracy for which many of them were exiled, tossed aside, tortured, and beaten by the military regime, Mr. President, give us a democracy for which our brothers and sisters lost their lives. And we will surely miss you. Nigerians will forever miss you whenever you leave office as the President of Nigeria. Let the President now hear from some well-meaning Nigerians on where he got it right and where he did not, and what he should do in order to get it right. God writes on crooked lines. He has given you opportunity to make a name, to move the country forward, to lift Nigeria from the dungeons of oppression, because God has overblessed the land.
The president missed a golden opportunity to raise and deepen democracy in Nigeria by restoring on today's Democracy Day democratic and normal civil constitutional rule in Rivers State. You cannot be celebrating democracy. You cannot be flaunting yourself as a Democrat on the one hand, and on the other hand, be trampling democracy under your big presidential foot. So I'm disappointed. Firstly, that the president never said a word about the undemocratic developments in Rivers State, which, as long as any part of Nigeria is under military rule, democracy is endangered in Nigeria as a whole.
We're talking about building a society where no one is oppressed, as reflected in the top paragraph of our national anthem. The key actors in Nigeria know the correct thing to do, but they are refusing to do it. They are clear abuse of power, clear abuse of privileges. And if we must build a nation for our children and our grandchildren, no matter how painful it is, we must strive to do what is right. It may cost us, but we must endeavor and pay the price to insist on doing what is right. We must strive to do what is right. If we want to build a nation that our children will be proud of.
President Bola Tinubu, 2 years are gone. Half of your constitutional mandate spent navigating the stormy waters of reform, resistance, and rising hardship. You came to office promising a renewed hope agenda, telling Nigerians that the pain would be temporary, like that of a childbirth, and that joy would follow. But 2 years in, the cries have grown perhaps louder, and many now wonder, when will the joy come? Inflation surged, food inflation went to an all-time height, transport costs were tripled, and the average Nigerian now spends more of their income just to eat, as if they are lucky. Petrol is hovering over 700 naira per litre, and electricity tariffs have risen even as supply is still very erratic. And yet, the Nigerian people, resilient, loyal, enduring, have held on. But holding on cannot be the national plan. You promised to lift millions out of poverty, create thousands of digital jobs in 24 months, and double power generation. These were not poetic aspirations. They were campaign commitments. Mr. President, time is not on your side. You have just 12 months before the political season begins to whisper again. If ever there was a time to show the fruits of sacrifice, it is now. But leadership demands maturity of mind and empathy of heart. You now preside over a fractured but hopeful nation. Good people, bad politics, and an ugly economy. Nigeria today is at a historic inflection point. Mismanage these opportunities, sir, and we risk descending into a cycle of unrest, disillusionment, and regret. But if you rise, Mr. President, to the moment, and you could become a defining leader, one whose name is etched in gold as a man who brought Nigeria back from the brink, you must ignore sycophants who clap in darkness while citizens cry in daylight. Mr. President, please urgently surround yourself with thinkers, doers, and patriots, not just loyalists. Every day must count. Every decision must deliver value. Because when a nation suffers this deeply, there is no luxury of time or ego. No more excuses. Those of us who believe and who are people of faith, we will pray, as scripture commands us, for the peace of the land and the success of its leaders. Because President Bola Tinubu, your success is Nigeria's success, and your failure will be our shared tragedy. Nigerians will rally behind you if they see sincerity, action, and result. But never forget, fury awaits any leader who mocks the pain of the poor. Sir, history is watching. Posterity is watching, and 200 million Nigerians are watching. Let this second half of your presidency be a turning point. Make us proud, President Bola Tinubu. Make Nigeria great. And that has to start now.
Mr. President, now is the time for you to give us that democracy for the sake of which many Nigerians have lost their lives, while some others were tortured, beaten, and subjected to inhuman conditions and bore the pangs of injustice and maltreatment of different kinds. Etymologically, the term democracy comes from two Greek words, demos, meaning people or the masses or crowd, and kratos, meaning power or rule. When put together, becomes democratia, which translates to power to the people or rule by the people. Little wonder, Abraham Lincoln defined democracy as government of the people, by the people, and for the people. In praise of democracy as a system of government, the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo held the view that democracy is the best form of government and the rule of law is man's triumph against arbitrary use of power. The beauty of democracy, says Augustus Essien, is that it gives voice to the governed, who in turn direct the government on how it is to be governed. For Mahatma Gandhi, my notion of democracy is that under it, the weakest have the same opportunity as the strongest. Do we truly have democracy today in Nigeria? While some may say yes, others may say otherwise.
So we don't have a democracy in the true sense of the word.
Oh my God.
When the state begins to oppress the citizen, there'll be cries of marginalization, there'll be secessionist and separatist agitation, there'll be insecurity. Now we have set up Nigeria to be a place where the state is more powerful than the citizen, and the state is oppressive. We need to retrace our steps.
Mr. President, one of the ways you can give us the democracy for which many Nigerians have lost their lives is to ensure that there is free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections in the year 2027. Nigerians want to experience that, and you'll be remembered forever by posterity for doing so. Nigerian citizens do not want to have the experience of seeing anyone anymore snatch, grab, and run away with ballot boxes during elections. Mr. President, you can listen to the aspirations and wishes of the Nigerian citizens as they yearn for free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections.
Nigerians want a free, fair, credible, and peaceful electoral process. I don't know if there is anybody that is an enemy of free and fair elections. Nigerians know that there is a timeline for electoral reform. At most, by December this year, we must have comprehensive electoral reform. The entire request is simple from our own petition, which is just to let there be mandatory electoral transmission of results, electronic from the polling units to a central server. We want to know what caused the glitch in 2023 and why we must not have further glitches. The person who conducted 2023 is still there as INEC chairman. Nigerians want to fix leadership. That is what we want. The Senate president should know this. They are Democrats. President Tinubu is supposed to be a Democrat. The House Speaker is a Democrat. Abi Democrats no can like free and fair elections. The simple thing is electoral reform. It does not matter who is clamoring for it. It is a part of a democratic process. And everybody that is in Nigeria, Nigerians do not need to die to vote during election. INEC cannot remain the weapon fashioned against Nigerians. Why is it that in Nigeria, 93 million people will register, 89 million will collect PVC, but less than 30 million will come out to vote? Why do people not believe in that process? And if leaders do not perform well, how do you hold them accountable? So that is the demand for Nigerians today. We want, what are our demands? Electoral reform, free and fair election.